What is up, ladies and gentlemen? CJ the Cheese DJ here, and we are back with a brand new top 10 for you guys today. And today, guys, we're taking a look at the top 10 Genesis creatures that you guys should tame. Now, guys, these are creatures that are exclusive to the Genesis map, so we're going to be going through a list of the worst to the best, and we'll see who comes out on top. So, guys, jumping straight into the list at number 10, we have the X-Anki. Now, the X creatures, they've got a couple of differences in comparison to the standard variants of their tames, and these guys essentially have more melee damage and they have more damage resistance. So, for example, when you're trying to tame one of these guys, it takes a lot more tranks to knock these guys out, but in return you get the variant, which is obviously the color scheme. And honestly, Genesis, half the creatures on the map, half of the DLC was purely for the X creatures because, well, half the X creatures take up the map. So it's definitely worth getting one of these guys. Now, obviously, you're going to need an Anki on Genesis, and they pair very well with one of the other creatures that are further in on this list because, well, you're going to need them for metal runs, you're going to need them for flint runs, you name it, these guys will be able to pretty much mine it for you. So they're really useful for that, but you guys already know what Ankis do. Now, as well as that, if you don't have a standard herbivore already, you can actually use the Ankis to harvest berries as well. So he's got that use for him as well. You can see here we've got a bunch of berries in our inventory. And yeah, these guys are really great. I definitely recommend getting into the Yankees if you haven't already. But let's move on to number 9, guys. Alrighty, guys, now coming in at number 9, we have the X-Aloe, otherwise known as the Volcano Aloe. Same sort of thing as the Anki. This guy is one of the hybrid versions. He's the X version. He's got the cool patterning. I just really love the volcanic dinos. They're really sick. As well as that, the Aloe is a really good mid to late game mount. If you get a pack of them, they can easily go toe to toe with some of the bigger threats, like, for example, basilisks, Rexes, other stuff that can kill you on this map. These guys will be able to take them out with relative ease due to their sheer attack when they get the pack bonus, and they've also got really good health and really good damage. They're really good to do the missions on Genesis as well. They'll help you complete a lot of those as well. So I definitely recommend getting your hands on some X-Aloes if you haven't already. But even breeding these guys is a lot of fun, and because they get pack bonuses, you really do gain a lot from bringing them around in a pack and just using them to shred whatever you want. So, guys, you already know most of their abilities. They've got the sheer attack, and they've just they get the buff attack when they're in the pack. Other than that, they're just really good all-round mounts. They're fast, they've got decent stamina, they've got really good health, really good melee damage, and they'll definitely be able to accomplish anything you need them to. So, guys, let's move on to number 8. Now, coming in at number 8, we have the Carcanos, or the crab, whatever you want to call this guy. This guy is found in the lunar biome in the Aberration Cave. The coordinates for that are actually 2636, so if you're looking for it, that's where you've got to go. But these guys are just great all around as well. They can carry stuff, you can farm a crap ton of metal using these guys and the Ankis. As well as that, in the moon biome, they literally break, I don't know, I can't say the stratosphere because the stratosphere isn't existent here because we're in space. But these guys are nuts. They can travel heaps far in the lunar biome. They can travel heaps far in the ocean biome. And they're just great. They deal heaps of damage. They've got plenty of weight on them. You can pick up Ankis and farm metal like crazy. And you can deal with whatever threats come your way. As well as that, you can obviously catapult your dinos halfway across the map if you really wanted to. Especially in the space biome. It is crazy how far you can send some of your dinos flying. It is a lot of fun. I definitely recommend trying it out if you guys haven't already. But you can get these guys up here and they're really good. Like I said, you can take them to the ocean biome, take them out there, get them right into the depths, and like, look at that, we've just hit the ceiling again. These guys have a bunch of uses, and all those uses are really helpful and really good on the Genesis map. So let's move on to the next creature. Now, coming in at number 7, we have the X-Rex, or the Volcano Rex, whatever you want to call him. Now, obviously, this guy is going to make an appearance on the list. He has got to be one of the coolest looking dinos to come out of the Genesis map with his color scheme. Now, you can breed these guys and get mutations on them, which actually alter their the colors and their patterns, which is it's really cool, some of the colors you can get. But these guys, they're the standard variants of the Rexes. They've got more health, they've got more melee damage, and obviously they're T-Rexes. You're going to be using them for pretty much any sort of attacking that you'll be doing on the Genesis map, and they're just great. They've got great health, great melee damage, you name it. These guys will be really good for all the challenges and the missions that you need to do on Genesis, and you can even use them against the boss fight against Rockwell as well even. That's what these guys are really good for. So I definitely recommend getting your hands on some Volcanic Rexes if you haven't already, but more than likely you do have yourselves a couple of these guys, and yeah, they are well worth it. So guys, let's move on to number 6. Now, coming in at number 6, we have the Astrocetus. Now, I am not the biggest fan of this guy. Don't get me wrong, he looks awesome, he's really cool and all that sort of stuff. I'm just not the biggest fan of him or what he can do. Now, obviously you can teleport and take a bunch of tames with you that are in your bubble with you as you teleport, but like, teleportation isn't even that long. Granted, you can take the creatures with you, and like in the trailer for Genesis, you see these guys and they transport like a whole tribe with them. It's a lot jankier in the game than it is on the trailer. However, they do have the ability to drop carpet bombs on bases below them, as well as that they do have the mounted tech turrets. So they still do have their uses in the Genesis map. Plus, they are one of the exclusive creatures that come with Genesis. So they deserve a spot on this list. However, it's not as high up as a lot of you are probably thinking. I am just not the biggest fan of the Astrocetus. You can chain these guys up in the lunar biome. The best way to do so is using a tech skiff or a mech. And to get the saddle for these guys, you will need to kill Moder, which is the ocean boss. But yeah, that's pretty much all you need to know about these guys. They've got the turrets mounted on them. They can do that teleporty thing. They can do the tail slap, and they can do the carpet bomb ability where they drop bombs from above using the ambergris. So yeah guys, Astrocetuses come in at number 6. Now guys, coming in at number 5, we have the Basilosaurus. Now, this guy will probably be your main source of transportation in the ocean biome depths, because hands down, these guys are probably the best way to go about traveling it. They pack a punch wherever they go. They're immune to the jellyfish, to the electric eel shocks, you name it, all that, they are immune to it. They're immune to the Tuso grab as well, which is really helpful because there are Tusos in here. The only thing I would say that is slightly, I don't think it's slightly better, it's very debatable, would be the Mosasaurus. Main reason being because the Basilosaurus takes damage the deeper it goes. So when you start getting into the depths, well, the deeper you go, the more damage that the Basilosaurus takes. But Mosasaurus take a lot to breed, they take a lot to tame. Granted, they do have a crap ton of health, they've got a crap ton of melee damage and all that sort of stuff. The Basilosauruses are more plentiful, if that makes sense as well. And they're really helpful for taking on Moder. Like, I would definitely take a bunch of imprinted Basilosauruses over some Moses to fight Moder, because I just think the Basilosauruses are easier. They're a lot easier to replace, they're a lot easier to breed. They can level up very well. They're immune to the jellyfish stun. Mosasauruses aren't, and they can still get grabbed by Tusos, and there are still plenty of those bad boys on this map. And you can see here, we're doing solid chunks of damage. Mind you, this guy is not leveled up at all, so he's still got quite a lot to go. As well as that, these guys will passively generate oil in their inventory as well, and they do also insulate you. Not that I think it makes much of a difference in the ocean biome, because I'm pretty sure you're already pretty well insulated in it, because this ocean is different compared to the other Ark's oceans. But nonetheless, the Basilosaurus is a great mount to use for the ocean biome. Like I said, the only downside is that it does take damage when it starts going into the depths. So that is something that you have to look out for. But even then, it's very minute damage that you can actually heal over time with anyway, by feeding them fish meat and stuff like that. So definitely consider breeding up these guys and taking them into the depths, because they are well worth the cost and well worth breeding them. So guys, let's move on to number 4. Now guys, coming in at number 4, we have the Bloodstalker. Now, this guy is definitely one of Genesis's best creatures to tame up. I would heavily recommend getting these guys if you haven't already. Most likely you will have, because once again, they are the exclusive creatures to Genesis. But these guys are great. They essentially make you Spider-Man. So all you need to do is try and get the reticle up, you can see there, and click, and boom. You slingshot yourself towards whatever you want, and then you can obviously slingshot yourself away. They can glide on water, they can jump off the water, they can grapple players, small mounts, you name it, they can pretty much do it all. These will be your main source of getting around Genesis. One of the best sources, especially if flying has been disabled on the server that you play on, because, well, you won't be able to fly around everywhere, so the Bloodstalkers are the next best things to flying. So I would really recommend getting your hands on these guys. Also, like I said, they can grapple players and small dinos, so they're really useful for PvP. As well as that, you can see they actually highlight certain things. So if things are dangerous, they'll come up in the red, or if they're like enemies or just hostile creatures, they'll highlight in the red, which works for enemy players as well. So if you're trying to get into a base and, you know, you're trying to scout out areas, these guys will show dinos, players, you name it, on the screen. As well as that, if you pull out a weapon, they'll actually take you into their standy up mode. I don't know what the proper terming is for it, but in that mode, you actually gain some stats as well as the ability to obviously see better as well. We'll pull out a shotgun here just to show you guys what we're talking about, and you should see. I'm pretty sure it works on the water. Maybe it doesn't work on the water. I thought it worked on the water. Yeah, no, it's working. Because maybe it doesn't work on water? I thought it would. Yeah, it does work on the water because the reticles are gone. So you get the bonus to damage as well as the sight over your enemies. Do be careful though, because they if they do take too much damage, they will start sapping your blood as a source of like recovery. As well as that, they can also climb up mountains. They've got the sticky feet. I forgot to mention that one earlier. But there you go. You can see there we're up on the standy up pose. Gives us a nice little circumference to shoot at stuff. And yeah, it's really good for PvP as well. And they've also got the sticky web. Like you can literally grapple stuff and reel it in towards you. I don't think there is anything around here that we can show you guys on. But if you guys have played on Genesis, you would have seen what we're talking about. And this is the way you would you wind in place. So you got to look for that purple reticle, fire away, and your Bloodstalker will grapple its prey in if it doesn't get stuck like mine. Hold on, we're rearranging. Hello, little tiny Mesopithecus. It'd be a shame for you to die, wouldn't it? Can we get you? There we go. You can see there we've got the web on him, and we can reel that in and eat him. You can see there, and that will pretty much just kill the poor little dude. And you can do this with any small creatures or players. But yeah, guys, the Bloodstalker comes in at number 4. Now, coming in at number 3, we have the Mega Chelon. This guy is the big turtley boy. You find these guys in the ocean biome. They can be rather difficult to tame up. You're going to have to use the parakeet fish schools. But nonetheless, these guys are really awesome. They're very slow though, so do take that into mind. But you can build bases on the back of these guys. They supply you with oxygen while you were riding them underwater. Even when you decide to get off, they still sprout out oxygen so you can actually breathe underwater, which is really handy. Now, as well as, I don't know what that, oh, that's the bubble thing. As well as that, these guys will be one of your main soakers on the Genesis map. They are hands down one of the best soakers in all of Ark. They've got a huge health pool, and as well as that, their saddles are relatively easy to get from the loot crates that you can buy on the Genesis map. They're really, really good for soaking, and they're really good for just building a base on the back of, and then deciding if you don't want to build a base on, strip it, and then go throw them in front of a couple of turrets, and they will literally drain the turrets dry. You can restore these guys' health with sweet veggie cakes as well, so it's really helpful for that as well. But yeah, there's not really much else to say about the Mega Chelon, guys. Really, really good tame to soak with, and really good tame to just kind of cruise around on, and he's got a lot of good PvE factors as well. You know, just build a base on the back of these guys and you'll be sweet. You can swim them up in between the ocean platforms as well if you want a little docking station for these guys. But other than that, the Mega Chelons, they're really good. Definitely get your hands on them. Let's move on to number 2. Now, coming in at number 2, we have the Ferox. This guy is one of my favorite creatures to come out of the Genesis. He's one of my 2 favorite creatures to come out of the Genesis map. I absolutely love these dudes. They're so awesome to play as and to run around on. Now, obviously, you tame them in their small mode, and then you can feed them the element, and they turn into the big, ugly, scary dudes. And these big, ugly, scary dudes, they pack a wallop wherever they go. They deal a crap ton of damage. If you get one with really good melee damage, good on you. You need to breed these guys up because once you get them like really primed with that good melee damage, you'll be sweet. Now you can see here we're dealing pretty decent amount of damage with each of our attacks, but he's also got multiple other attacks. A slamming ground pound, which slightly stuns players. As well as that, he also has a boulder throw, which is one of the most damaging moves in the Genesis expansion. And it's definitely a way to snipe players out if you're riding around on these guys and you've got players running around on foot. If you can hit a boulder on the player, you can practically one-shot them, I reckon. So it's definitely worth getting these guys and breeding them up. Now, as well as that, when you actually jump in succession with these guys, they get like a jumping boost. You can kind of see it when we land our jumps. We just need a kind of flat area so we can do that. So guys, you can see here that when we jump in succession, we get like the speed boost. This enables us to jump further, to jump faster, and enables us to traverse the terrain a lot quicker. Now you can still attack while doing the jumps. You can see they were up in the air still attacking. So if there's a flyer that you're really trying to track down and you've got no other way to sort of get him, you can use these guys. Now, as well as that, they do sort of like a bumping attack where if you run into small to medium sized dinos, you will actually send them sort of flying. You can see here with the Procoptodon that this guy kind of goes down some, and we can't pull it off again. But you can do that with the smaller base dinos, which is really good. And this guy, I just love him. Feroxes, they're so awesome. You can breed them for sick colors and they look absolutely terrifying. Like, look at this big boy. Look at how terrifyingly compact and meaty he is. He is absolutely horrifying. So I would definitely recommend getting your hands on some Feroxes. They're only found in one cave, so you have to brave that cave to tame them up, and it is filled with dire bears. So guys, let's find out what number 1 is. Now coming in at number 1, we have the Magmasaur. Now, hands down, this guy is the coolest creature to come out of the Genesis DLC, I reckon. In my opinion, anyway. A lot of you guys might have a differing factor or something like that, but this guy is my favorite creature out of the whole DLC. He mines metal. He's great for mining metal. He is better than an Anki, in all honesty. He reduces the weight of metal in his inventory as well. So you can see here, we've got a stack of it. So there's 200 there, 50. We bring it over here, it weighs a full 200. He doesn't reduce stone, however, so that is a shame. But nonetheless, this guy's damage is incredible. You can actually still use these guys to take out turrets. When they first dropped, they were broken as heck because they could shoot their searing spit outside of turret range and actually destroy turrets and destroy bases. It was so good. Nowadays, you can't use it as effectively, but you can still use it to get rid of turrets, and you can still tank pretty damn well with these guys because they've got quite a large health pool. You can see they're 20k on this big lady, and they are just really good at soaking. You get a good armor saddle on them as well, and you're sweet. Now, I don't think they're as good at soaking as Mega Chelons, but you can still use them to drain turrets using the Searing Spit attack. The Searing Spit attack does get targeted by turret projectiles. So if you've got a base in front of you and you shoot the Searing Spit at a base that has the turrets will shoot your Searing Spit attack, practically draining the turret over time. You can also use these guys to soak because they do protect the player with the crest in front of their head. So if you're coming from a base from an upwards angle, you can actually soak pretty effectively with these guys. As well as that, they've got a taunt ability. So if you've got any wild dinos in the area that you want to get rid of, taunt them. They deal fire damage. They take fire damage over time from the Magmasaur, and as well as that, you can also use his secondary attack, which is the I don't know what it's called. It's pretty much like the shrapnel explosion, I'm going to call it, and where you hold down your Searing Spit attack and you hit the C button, and you pretty much send a cascade of fireballs in the immediate area. So it's really good for that. Now, for the Searing Spit attack, you do need metal ingots, and where did all our stuff go? And these guys also refine the metal as well, so we'll chuck this in his inventory. There you go, mate. And you just have to enable smelting, and these guys will smelt stuff for you. Now, while smelting, you can't actually sprint, so do take note of that. However, you can still move with these guys. You can still attack, and you can still do all the damage. However, it does take a bit of time to smelt the metal in the Magmasaur's inventory. So I would take note of that as well. As well as that, these guys do protect you while being in lava. So if you go for a little bit of a swim in some lava, you'll be a-okay and you won't take any damage from it. You can still overheat, so do take note of that and just keep an eye out on your health when, or if you do start overheating. But yeah, these guys, hands down, the coolest dino to drop from the Genesis DLC. I love them. They're awesome. They're really good. And yeah, hands down, my favorite dino to come from the Genesis DLC. And that's why they're in that #1 spot. Also, when they're cooking metal, keep an eye out on their food because it does drain rapidly as well. But guys, that is going to wrap up today's video. Let me know what you thought.